Winners finals, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Use on the J, Flambeau's in the back. So happy that we're getting some great sword representation here in the winners final.
It's crazy if the patch came out just a little bit earlier.
J do Yus tá. Você tá lindo. E a gameplay também.
Hoping his gauntlets and axe can find the way in on this devastating greatsword that Yus has been slicing and dicing through the bracket all day.
It really comes down to how Godly can get around this greatsword, because Yus's greatsword is so good at keeping that pressure going, but right now,
mano, é muito doido. É que vocês vão ver, eu acho. Eu vi só o finalzinho da última partida. Mas, mano, parece que Machado tá sendo a tentativa de counterar a Great Sword dele, tá ligado? Pelo menos nessa partida, que a gente vai ver lá mais pro final. Tentativa de punish não rolou. Quer dizer, a tentativa rolou, mas não deu certo.
Yeah, I mean, it is very hard to get back up against that. Yeah, you can be safe, stay low, or maybe stay to the outside. But even then, like you said, very hard to punish. Right now, Godly already adding up damage onto this second stock of Yus, and Yus needs to hold onto this sword. That is the big KO tool for the J-Youngs out there.
Caramba! Mano, a movimentação. A gauntlets do Godly é realmente muito boa, né, mano? Ele consegue fazer umas paradas muito... que é muito útil, muito eficaz, na real, né? Mesma coisa, quase. Mas bora Yus. Olha isso, é muito rápido a movimentação.
I like what Yus is doing with this greatsword. Got a little bit of an opener onto Godly, but then backed away, trying to find the read there. Godly not able to connect onto that neutral sig as Yus is staying very low, respecting Godly.
And we were talking back in the green room during a previous Godly set about how Godly gets more hits with that neutral signature than both you and I think he has any business getting. But somehow he finds it at the right time. Yus waiting. He didn't immediately go for the KO finish. Waited for just a second, then found the neutral air. Wasn't quite enough to KO yet. Again, the weapon toss coming out, hoping to shake Godly up a little bit and then get the follow-up with the recovery. The neutral light is the only thing he felt safe doing there instead of the D-light into the side air. Not going to lead to the KO just yet.
Muita tensão, momentos de KO,
Godly looking for the
nice punch.
recovery. The side air with the weapon
Nice,
toss,
muito bom.
bonk on the head. That's going to be the stock Yus with a lead.
Rewinding a little bit, I love that neutral light from Yus, that quick reaction, because Godly just narrowly missed with his own neutral light, and Yus had to go for the quickest option he could. That was the sword neutral light, but Godly cleaning up the stocks, down light recovery.
Only one weapon spawn on the field so far. One comes in just in time, right where Godly was over on the soft platform. Odin blessing him with that one so he can strip the field from Yus, who's going to immediately go over. Oh, no, he goes...
Que foi isso? Não entendi. Talvez ele achou que ele tinha pegado a arma, ou não. De novo?
Is he allergic to weapon pickups? Finally, he is able to pick it up, but man, he gave Godly so many opportunities. All things considered, though, Yus has the stage control and the damage advantage.
It's like he made the decision to go towards it and then got close. Was like, actually, I don't want pizza. I want tacos.
Well, I'm sorry, but we're going to Pizza Hut. You gotta get the pizza.
Hoping he can get a full deep dish here against Godly. Ooh, you can see he's playing some real neutral here. Only finding his first way in with the weapon toss, almost like an old school snowy game.
They're really picking and choosing now. You can see how important this final stock is for both.
Dropou, mano.
Falls off the soft platform, so the second hit's not going to connect.
Yus still unarmed. This time he actually does make the move over to it. You see the side light. Godly was way too high, but he's not able to punish it because he was so high in the air. Oh, the same direction GC side light. Neutral air's coming out from Yus. Oh, he wasn't able to get there afterwards.
Once again, Godly trying to find that read off that side light. Side light. Ooh, tried to read the dodge. This time,
no way.
For it. The nair almost takes him off over to the sword. Recovery.
Nice recovery. Muito bom. Pessoal, não esquece que a gente vai estar trazendo algumas partidas aqui, beleza? E eu vou trazer uns tutoriaizinhos de vez em quando também, mas o foco daqui do canal secundário é mais gameplay, beleza? Bora lá, segunda partida. Let's go.
Opening up, Godly's going to grab the first weapon. Yus grabs the second one very quickly. He also found the unarmed down air, so he's found the only damage so far in this game. And Godly instantly over onto the wall, spending about 5 seconds there before coming back to the main platform, landing with a down air, now juggling with the neutral air. Second one doesn't make a connection, but punishes to landing with a neutral light and a weapon toss after it.
Oh, trying to open up Use with those weapon tosses, but Use finding more damage for engagement. Down sig, weapon tosses
Meu
in
Deus.
for the down like ground pound. Use
Tá
in
vivo.
trouble. He's
Tá vivo. Tá vivo ainda. Tá vivo. Aí, nice.
He's back, baby.
His dodge came off.
Godly vacilou muito ali.
Just in time to find the GC neutral signature. Found priority there, got the hit on Godly, which forced him away, giving Use enough time to get over to the wall.
No, but Use finds the downlight recovery. He's able to get the KO. Godly so close to finishing off the first stock, but Use capitalizing.
A little bit of juggle game coming out here. Oh, the weapon toss goes right through Godly. Godly's able to grab the weapon, find the instant KO. Weapon spawn comes in, but Use is still spawning back into the game, not able to get over to it. Godly gonna stick with the axe. It's gonna be Use's sword. He sidelights over and immediately goes back over to the wall. Both players have now started off early on their stocks, instantly going over to the wall to give themselves some breathing room.
Goes in for the chase dodge nair, but Godly able to avoid it. Finds a nair of his own. Once again, kind of trading blow for blow.
Dude, they're both just like whiffing by pixels. Their moves are so close to one another during these dodge circles.
Two-piece. There was the dodge from Godly, but Use was not ready for it. Down sig whiffed. Use goes down for the down air, but it lets Godly get that recovery.
There is a weapon spawn on the field. Use is just playing around it.
Nice recovery.
The D-Light gets the recovery.
Dodge is still down. Oh, but he doesn't dodge in. Use was going for the read.
Oh, the in-light just barely misses.
Ah, meu Deus.
Light uses sweat beating once again.
Ah, e o dodge.
Can't get the touch for the chase dodge up, and Use gonna fall down to his final stock.
So one thing that's different with Godly versus Use here compared to like Kaina versus Use earlier is Kaina just wasn't dodging. The string would start off from Use's greatsword and kind of would either like jump or fast fall back down or move himself back in, but he really wasn't dodging very often in the scenarios. Godly is dodging much more than Kaina was to get out of these strings.
Yeah, very often he'll dodge, but he's also doing a really good job changing up those dodges. Oftentimes what happens is he'll see Use go for like the inside reads to that dodge in read, and then he's like, oh, next time you go for me, I'm gonna do it because you're not expecting me to go in.
Oh, he grabs the landing with the neutral light. I was expecting a down air to come out from Use, but I think he was looking for the more horizontal entry.
Use trying to cover this corner. Godly gets around him, has Use in the open air. Greatsword, not the best aerial weapon.
So close to one another.
And he's done for. Godly gonna take
getting away, trying to put that space between them so he can utilize his extra range against Godly. Godly is just not letting it happen.
Bora lá, terceira partida.
We kind of talked about it earlier, right? The spacing game. They were whiffing each other by pixels. That's because they are playing such precise footsies against each other. We're going into game number 3. They're changing up the map picks.
And what's one of the reasons you play the J on it? You play it for the great sword, of course, but if you look at the damage split, it was 220 on sword compared to 142.
Tava estranhando, tava muito clean a imagem.
Staying inside and on top of Use the entire time. So Use could not find that great sword damage. That was his win condition before. He was tearing people apart with that great sword, but Godly is just not letting it happen.
Yeah, he's finding ways around this greatsword, but right now Use doing a really good job denying weapons from Godly, just trying to chase him down. There's the weapon spawn. Godly not going to pick it up for free as Use got that nair, but doesn't get the read.
He did hit the two-piece. Godly came with the dodge through to get in, around, and behind Use. The jumping downers coming out from Godly does pick up the neutral light there, sending Use over to the far right side, then moving back over onto the wall, picking another one up out of thin air. Now going over to the gauntlets.
Ai.
So big, I think it probably would have led to the free edge guard regardless, but the fact that he picked up the axe neutral light while Use was already in the air meant his in-air movement economy was already dreadfully low, and he just kept it going, especially with that down signature on the edge.
Yeah, that was just a great recognition of the situation. After Use went for that recovery past the weapon toss, you could see he was definitely running out of options there. Ensig thrown out. Godly able to get back up onto the stage.
No.
Picked up the side air with the bounce off of the down air. Now going back over to the great sword.
Nice, nice, nice. Recovery ali depois pega muito bem. Pega dodge.
Stocks are even, games are even between these two players. Godly is without a weapon, but his spacing again. He really didn't have to do anything to get away from that neutral air that came out from Use. He just kind of moved a little bit to the left and he was there. No dodge burned, no jumps burned, nothing.
Once again, Hughes trying to find that read onto Godly. You're not seeing those big extensions from the greatsword play that he so desperately
Caramba, olha esse machado counterando
We're also
ele.
not seeing that neutral signature come out from Godly that we talked about previously. And that's
É o
because, like,
momento,
when
tá
you're a
ligado?
greatsword player,
Aproveitar.
you
Putz,
like to
perdeu o
stick to the
greatsword.
ground. I know Flambeau talks about that a lot. You love to control that ground.
Show
Yeah, you
greatsword.
do some jumping up and down, trying to throw out that down air maybe every now and then, but you like to control that ground. And what does that neutral signature on Axe from Godly do? Takes you into the sky if they're playing
Caramba.
aerially. So we're not seeing him use that very much so far. Of course, we did just see the neutral signature, but we're also seeing
Ai,
two
Sandy
side
lento.
signatures
Ai,
this game that
que dor no
lateral
coração.
along the ground area.
Hughes, and just to avoid that neutral signature from Godly, once again, just poking Godly. He's really trying to figure out these dodges of Godly because otherwise he's just getting an opener and maybe a bridge, which is not that much damage.
And he's not getting them that often either. That was one of the big things that he was doing so well against the previous opponents. Does get that clash there, but he's not finding those huge strings. He's not finding that huge momentum. They're just kind of going blow for blow, back and forth.
I mean, they're trading back and forth, like you said. Godly manages to hit that neutral out, not quite enough to KO as Hughes is really far out there, but he gets back onto the stage.
He knew Godly wanted to chase in the air, so he was saving that dodge. He knew he was really high in the air, so he had enough movement to get back if he really just held right.
Meu caramba, isso daí foi muito nice.
Beautiful choice from Hughes to get back onto the main stage, hit Godly, send him in the blast zone, get a little bit of a lead, but you instantly see the answer back from Godly. He's going to be able to strip the field as well, moving back over onto the Axe. Hughes is going to have to wait for the weapon spawn. You immediately see him retreat over to the soft platform. Godly pushes, but Hughes is able to grab the greatsword pretty quickly.
Yeah, that gravity cancel side sig that happened to finish off that second stock of Godly was something that Flambeau was pointing out in the back. He's like, this is why Skeldra is such a good greatsword player. It's something that not enough people are doing.
And when you do it, you have to do it very rarely. If you do it every time, like it's Orion's Spear neutral signature. Everyone knows.
Nice, nice.
Finally gets a solid greatsword string. One of the very few that we've seen from you so far. Got the D-light into the recovery, then over on the edge. Okay.
Nice! Mano, o que? Não deu kill? Não.
One more hit,
Meu
Hughes could
Deus.
find it. He just needs that big swing
Perigoso
with
contra
Godly
machado,
swinging back
mano.
with the
Contra
axe
machado.
down. Hughes struggling to get back down onto the ground.
Nice, nice, nice. Meu, como aquilo não deu kill, velho?
You might have to change that Y for an L for lose.
Mano
and
do
not
céu.
like the opposite of win, but because he's lighting up like a light. I really hope lose is light in Portuguese. It is in Spanish. So sorry if I'm being ignorant here, but he's lighting up, man.
L-U-Z.
Yeah, L-U-Z.
playing so-
L-U-Z.
you're so smart.
I'm like 3 layers deep,
Yeah.
baby. I'm 4 Yomi levels deep if I'm going to take a page out of Flambeau's book here, because all of a sudden we saw that great sword light up.
Ooh, and you saw on the screen the character swap coming out from Godly. It's gonna be the Teros for
Teros.
game number
Essa é a partida que eu tava
4. He's hoping
falando.
This will be the thing
Au.
to take it to game 5 and get him closer to the grand finals.
I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one. And it's specifically
Miami
because
Dome
you
ainda,
speak
eu não tinha
kinda
reparado.
earlier on the Teros. What do you think, Duke?
Believe in the Teros. I think
I do believe in a Teros, and I believe in
Meu
Kindness
Deus do
Teros.
céu.
And the fact that he couldn't do it against Hughes, I don't know how Godly's going to do here.
Godly saying he's built different, or maybe he just did not like how his gauntlets fared against the greatsword of Hughes. One thing that Teros brings to the table really well in this matchup is you're not having to find those big strings.
Nossa,
Instead,
nossa, que
you can
skin do
trade blow
Troyer
for blow
bonito.
really
Foi bom
efficiently
aquele do
with
Troyer.
against a greatsword.
That is true. Hughes picks up the 2-piece there. A lot of distance between those two. Godly being very careful. He chooses to go in. You see him whiff that D-light. Instant 2-piece punish from Hughes.
Dude, the dash landing from
Nossa
Hughes,
senhora.
like he just whiffs and then dash lands back and forth, makes it really tricky to try to get that punish onto him. Downlight not going to connect for Godly. Needs to start finding that finishing blow.
He does have the axe in his hands, which is of course gonna be the
Ai.
carryover from the Rayman, and the
Até
weapon toss is
legueado
gonna hit
bagulho.
Hughes, send him into that blast zone, and Godly's gonna have his choice of weapons, swapping back over to the axe. Started this one off with hammer, and it was solid, but I think he's really gonna be leaning into this axe, of course.
Ai,
and that's why we
Machado.
see him moving on to it. Teros' brain takes over, and he gets punished for it.
Yeah, sometimes when you
Nice.
see the bull on the screen, you just got to press that neutral heavy button when someone's on the corner. But Godly
Caraca.
with the swings, getting more damage put out onto Hughes' second stock. Going in unarmed. Has the hammer now. Doesn't want it.
Oh, the Sider's going to bounce off of the stage, take away some of that momentum, and even that almost did it. Hughes still struggling to find this KO. Goes in with the punish on the D-light into the recovery for the easy KO option off the top after the whiff from Godly.
And And now Use with that weapon advantage, tried to push it, but Godly with the Nair gets him the weapon pickup as it comes in. He's got a hammer, but
Whoa.
beaten out by the down bridge.
I can't believe he found priority there. If he's able to avoid these just stray hits that Godly is throwing out, he's done a pretty good job so far, but the neutral air sent him flying. Godly's looking for the more consistent setups here. Has a much better vertical KO option with the hammer compared to the axe.
Yeah, for sure. Those neutral airs, so valuable. Even down air can be a really good tool for finishing off opponents, and there you're seeing him throw it out.
Meu Deus, mano, meu Deus.
He's continuing to
Farma
throw it
dano,
out,
farma
staying
dano.
just above
Let's go.
Use. Hasn't found a connection with it yet. Use is really starting to fight this one back. Godly's struggling to find this KO. These neutral airs are not making a connection. Use is being very careful here. He knows
Nice,
the
nice.
solid neutral that he's been playing for the
Igualou
latter half
quase.
of this stock has been working.
Godly really struggling to find that blow. You could see he was going for so many down airs and Use capitalizing. He's like, all right, if you're going to keep doing this, I'm going to start finding more and more punishes. But there's the Nair, that vertical KO like you were talking about.
I can't wait to get a look at this graph to see how long Godly went without finding a hit onto Use on that second stock. Use did a great job of lowering that lead, making it much smaller.
Nice GP. Nice down GP.
Ground pound all the way over on the right and high in the air, finding the connection, finding the KO, and tying this game up.
This is final stocks here, game 4. Use
Eita,
go into the
eita,
great
eita.
Godly
Caramba,
against the game
o dano.
5 with Godly's axe swinging.
Dude, what a difference between the axe and his hammer.
He gets
Mano, é
so
muito
many hits
ataque
off of
com
his axe,
um
though.
range e dano. Nossa, muito grande.
Got the read.
Ai,
One of the few signatures he's thrown out this entire set so far. They're even. The lead that Godly had on this final stock was so big once he picked up that axe, but now we're back to kind of the same thing that happened. Oh, not quite enough just yet.
Just one hit away from a game 5. Use with the Nair.
nice, mano, nice. Essa neutral sig pegou muito bem, muito bem. Parabéns, velho, na moral. A gente vai ter mais ainda, né? A gente vai ter mais, let's go.
Use did it. He took down Godly.
Let's go, let's go, let's